Hey there, YouTube friends. Masked Bandit here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I always do appreciate it, and welcome back to Brazos Square Amusement Park, the 50 by 50 park that I've been working on for about a year. Man, I can't believe we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of me starting this project, but I'm here to tell you, I don't know how long it's going to take to get the last couple episodes out, but we only got a couple more episodes left. As always, apologies for the hiatus, but that is the way we roll. Hopefully you are excited to see some content back on the channel. I have been, just right up front here, I have been playing a lot of City Skylines in preparation for City Skylines 2, and if that's something that you're kind of interested in seeing, I've been playing a lot with just the vanilla game with some visual mods. It's super fun. If you'd like to see that on the channel, go ahead and let me know down in the comments, and I will go ahead and start recording my City Skyline stuff for y'all. Super fun game, and then once the sequel comes out, we can take a look at that together too. That'd be kind of fun, because I do plan to sink some good time into that. That's the impetus for getting back into this. I kind of want to finish this before I do any Skylines content. That seems unfair for all the people that are invested in this series. But anyway, yeah, if you're happy to see stuff back on the channel, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Woohoo! So, here's the deal. We've got some work to do. We don't have a lot of room left, but if you see this whole area, man, I love it. I've mentioned it before. This is where we left the park at the end of the last episode. We put the log flume in and dressed it all up, but it's so naked over here. And we've got this whole unfinished coaster, which is still going to remain unfinished today. And we talked about this. I've got a solution for this. I think I love it a lot, but we'll see what you think with the car ride. And then we've got this whole corner here that we need to get something done with. At the end of the episode today, I can say with confidence that we will have completed the ride layout, the ride list for the entire park. We don't have a lot of room, so we're going to be adding 3 rides, I think. We'll figure it out. But anyway, I am excited to get in and to show you what I've been working on. I took a trip to Kennywood a couple weeks ago, and that really got the creative juices flowing. Visiting theme parks or amusement parks get you excited to play Planet Coaster. Who would have thunk it? I guess I just got to do that more frequently so that I keep up the intensity in my Planet Coastering. Anyway, let's not dilly nor dally any longer. I've been going for already almost 3 minutes. Let's jump right into our first update. It's just a quick little update here in our first snippet. We have this little checkerboard grid over here. I've decided to source out this corner to a friend of mine, Mr. Domez on Bronation. He's going to create us a little something that you're going to see later in the episode, and I think you're going to like it. And it's really kind of what spurs this whole sub area here, but we'll get to that in a minute. The Rapids Ride is still looking... Rapids Ride, man, I do that all the time. This log flume is still looking pretty incomplete. Hopefully that will change. And then here, the biggest thing here is we are starting to dress up this swing ride, which has been here for forever. And I thought it would be pretty fun to pay homage to one of the Texas universities, Texas A&M. I don't know, I like their logo and I like the colors, and that's as far as my knowledge of the school or any major Div 1 college here. It's a big thing in Texas. Either you're an A&M fan, an Aggie fan, or you are a Longhorn fan. I don't really care. I didn't go to either of those schools. I'm not originally from Texas, but I thought the colors were cool, and I thought it would be another way to Texify up a bit. I went ahead and I made the Texas A&M logo, but then I realized it says ATM, so we put an ATM there. I don't know. I thought it was funny. It's not going to stay like that. That was just a proof of concept that I got the logo done. But I'm pretty pleased with the way it turned out. Art shape stuff, that's kind of always been my jam. We're going to create a special sign for it and dress it up, make it look nice. But as a start, that's what we got. So let's plot along and get a little more cooking here. Alrighty, so we have here the Aggie flyer. I just thought it sounded good. It doesn't. We dress it up. I figured it's a big Div 1 college. Probably I did some Greek columns. I don't know. That seemed appropriate. Just a very, very simple cover here, because you have to be careful with the angles that you don't actually hit that the swings don't actually cut through anything you put here. You got to be real close, real careful. And actually, I had to be super aware. I kept looking like it was hitting the Whataburger, but I can assure you it does not hit the Whataburger. But here's get a better look at the area here. It's very cacophonous here. We got the carousel making sound. We got the swings making sound. We have speakers playing at our Art Deco area. It's very loud. So, but yeah, it's just a little simple flat ride here to fill out this area. Added this, dressed up this area to make, to concretize this, finish this whole area, so that now there is no, it's very clear that this is the way to head. Got the no entry fencing and all that stuff. It's kind of a cool view. I like it with the Brazos Blast behind it. But if you look, you might have saw as I panned through, we have this. Remember I said that Mr. Gomez was going to be making something special for us? Well, here is what he made. Back in the Summerdale project, if you followed that, I asked for a whole bunch of outside the park shops and businesses and buildings, and a bunch of people donated awesome stuff to the project. And one of the things that Mr. Gomez made, knowing I'm from Texas, he made Maskies, which is a play on the famous famous gas station and famous for its clean restrooms. It's huge here in Texas, and they just keep building them bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're called Buc-ee's, and it's got a beaver. But so Mr. Gomez made an art-shaped Maskies, and I don't remember who, but somebody on Bronation went and turned it into an actual piece using TMTK. So now it's not a 1,200 piece sign. It is just a singular piece now, which is super awesome. So it's pretty funny because Buc-ee's are huge places, and this one is very, very small. So it was kind of fun seeing what Mr. Gomez came up with. But as let me get out of that. There we go. We can see this little symbol is everywhere, and we've got beef and pulled pork and all this stuff that is famous at Buc-ee's. We also have some beer, apparently. Bandit IPA. We have Mike's favorite cucumber vodka. So yeah, this is awesome. He also was able to sneak in some restrooms back there, which is great because we do need some restaurants over here. The ice, that is definitely something you would see at a Buc-ee's. And we threw in a whole bunch of seating. Archer for scale. But I just love this. It's so good. I am so thankful. Thank you so much for going and doing this for me. I really do appreciate it. That sign, by the way, is gonna be moving. So, but this is the big update here. We got our Maskies, we've got the chair swing done, and you'll also notice we have here, I asked Mike if he was interested in doing the car ride, just the car ride, and he took it for a little bit, came up with a layout, but then he got real busy and was unable to complete it. So this is what he came up with, and by the time I got this put in the park, I actually had an idea for what I wanted it to be, which did not align with this layout anymore. And so while I thank you for taking the time to do the layout and working in such a small, confined space, I am going to be blowing it up and doing my own thing. So, and you'll see what that's going to look like very, very shortly. Yeah, you can see now with this Buc-ee's here in place, it gives us, this whole area is going to be is going to have tie-ins to the Buc-ee's. And actually the car ride itself will also kind of all make sense because Buc-ee's is a roadside establishment. It's on the side of highways. So that kind of drove the process to fleshing out the rest of the area. So let's power on. A quick little check-in here. Over in this area here, I plan to have a barbecue joint. We're gonna that's gonna be the final restaurant that we're gonna be building in the park here, just on the other side. On the other side of Grasshopper. That'll be pretty cool. That won't be done in this episode either, but it's coming. And then what I did is I started blocking out the exit here, and oh boy, this is the station for the log flume, and that is. It's a bear because it's pretty big, and I wanted to keep it as compact as possible and kind of borrow off of what Rubel did in No Name Landia with the crossover back over the path. It does mean that it is extra close, and oof, there is a little bit of terrain here poking through because I did really try to squeeze the path as close as I could. It is something that I'm willing to live with so that I could sneak these paths as close over as they could, which allows the Buc-ee's to breathe a little bit more. I didn't want the queue to be interrupting the Buc-ee's too terribly much. You also notice it's pretty tall. I wanted it to be I wanted to have shade over the exit area, but and station area, but I wanted it to be open. So even though it's tall, I feel like the direction we're going to head in, lots of beams and stuff like that, is going to be much more open and airy, despite the height, which I think is a good way to offset large structures like this. If you can keep them open, that offsets the amount of space they take up, if that makes sense, because you'll be able to see through them quite a bit. Also decided that, well, we need to have ourselves a little drop tower themed to Buc-ee's, because normally when you go to Buc-ee's, you see a huge, my sign is off center at the moment. You see a huge sign from miles away before you even reach it. And so I thought that would be super funny to have a Buc-ee's sign or a Maskies sign as the tallest point in the park, which is just too perfect. It is such a Texas thing. And being as this is sort of a tongue-in-cheek wink and a nod at Texas, this whole project, it seemed too perfect. I've colored it to be Buc-ee's. We're going to name it, but we're actually going to name it Buc-ee's Big Bounce, because that's fun and I love alliterations. Even though it is a Maskies, we're not going to care too much about it. So started working on the Q cover over here as well. Much smaller, but same materials. So that's the direction that we are headed in. I installed some of Ruble Trillion's amazing Midway games, tucked them as far under the coaster as I could. I do enjoy that look, as if the coaster was built right on top of them. I threw some paths back here to cut the supports so that the supports didn't cut through the games, and this little corner looks so nice. So I'm very pleased with the way this is headed. You'll notice the car ride is still here, but that is about to change in a really big way. So yeah, little updates here and there, trying to find the groove, and it's at this point that I feel like I really hit a groove and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I think the progress is going to really pick up in the next couple updates. So this is the method. It sits for a long time until I pick and I poke and I do little bits and bobs, and then all of a sudden I hit that inspiration point and it's off to the races. So I think we're going to see a bit more progress as we progress. So here's the big idea. Hang with me. I know it's short. It's a short little car ride, but it's what it represents, I think, that's going to make it fun. One of the terrible things about living in Houston is driving in Houston. Houston is known as having some of the widest freeways. And as someone who's lived here now for 14 years, Houston has a bad habit of being really difficult to find somewhere you haven't been unless you've already been there before. Like, yeah, Google Maps and all that, but like, if you miss an exit or something, you're really kind of up a creek, and signs can be confusing and misleading, and it's very difficult to find your way, especially when you first move to Houston. I found it to be very difficult to wrap my head around how this city functions with traffic. And considering it's such a major part of the city, like there is the I-10 freeway, which is that heads west out of Houston into a suburb called Katy, and I think it's regarded as the widest highway. It's like 15 lanes. It is insane. We don't have 15 lanes because #space, but what we do have is my representation of driving in Houston. So we're going to have this be a big construction area. We're going to have some confusing signage, and then we're going to call this the Beltway. We have now there are 3 loops that center around Houston. There is the inner loop, which is 610. There is the outside loop, which is Beltway 8. And then there's one even further way out in the burbs. Now it just opened it's being completed. It's called the Grand Parkway. So I thought it would be pretty awesome to have a loop here with a ride inside. I thought that was too perfect. And the way this ride, I forget what it's called, but I call it the Scrambler. The way this ride fits in here so perfectly, it made it too nice. And it also does a really good job of closing off this area. I didn't quite know what to do, how to wrap this around, but now this ride, it just perfectly ends this little Art Deco spot. So I think this is an awesome thing. I'm so excited to be building a highway. Underneath here, these pillars, these are actually modeled sort of after the pillars right by my house. I live close to the Beltway, and so by where I live, they have them, and this is supposed to be like a tree. They have concrete tree pillars to make it feel like it's not so bad. And yeah, I modeled this after some Google Earth images that I was able to scrounge up, and the same goes for over here. This is another part of the highway. I found a pattern that I liked, and I tried to emulate it. I love it. It feels so gross in the best possible way. So we're going to be calling this ride Beltway Racers. And then we're going to be calling the ride in the center Fender Bender. And if you are a sports fan, you might recognize the color scheme. The car ride here is colored to the Houston Astros, boo. And then the scrambler down here is colored after the Houston Texans, which is the NFL team. I thought just a little nod for that. And it's a different way. It's a way to break out of those color schemes that I have such a cliche color schemes that I like to fall into, the teals and the pinks and the greens. Yeah, so that's the big update here. This is what the car ride's going to be. It is very simple, but again, space makes it kind of a challenge. But this gives us this area here to decorate and make look nice. We can really up the foliage, and we're going to use some of those Ghostbuster facades to make it look like a more urban environment, and it's perfect because they don't poke out over the back here, which was one of my biggest concerns. Any sort of heavy theming here would disrupt this view here, and this view is sacred. I do not want to disrupt this Art Deco view with the lovely red line carousel. So yeah, so now it's just a matter of dolling everything up. And so this is the bare bones. These are all of the rides. You can see we don't have any room for any more rides. We're going to take this game stall out of here, and we're going to put a nice fountain in. We're going to dress this area up, make it look pretty. We're going to dress this up a little bit. We're in the final go here. We are now entering the final push into completing this park. There's still a lot of details and rough bits and rough corners, like over here is kind of gross. But yeah, now that this car ride is in, it really does cement where the paths kind of have to go. So yeah, I think we have one more before the final reveal. So let's push ahead one more to see where we're at before we end today's episode. So still a little bit more work to do, but now we have a sign Fender Bender using a workshop font that I found that is super cool. And you can see here we put in some shrubbies and some fencing to make it look a little prettier under there. And you'll also notice another sign over here. So the queue wraps around the car ride. You'll also notice we've really sort of dialed up the car ride. D-Maker's Toolkit, I have these awesome decals, these dirty decals, and oh my goodness, if that just didn't add a bit of something to it. Also the Ghostbuster graffiti signs, perfect for what I was going for here. It really toned down the cleanliness, and I think makes it just look a lot better. There's a little bit of extra detail. Threw in some sago palms because I got those in my house and I hate them, so it's a very Texas thing. At least here in Houston, there's sago. A lot of us have sago palms. So that brings us to the car ride. It is all but finished at this point. A little more dressing up needed, but we are calling it Beltway Racer. Nothing fancy, real simple. Simple cover here, and then you get on the ride, and if we were to take a little tour, here's our goofy construction area with all of our construction signs. Construction, expect delays. We'll put fencing around here and everything to make it really secure, and just a pile of debris. There is some massive construction at any given point all around the city, so I love these signs though. Left only, right on red, no exit, and then we get to Beltway Loop. Exit only, what? Oh no, no exit, exit only, get wrecked. Because the street signs are confusing in Houston. One of the things that really threw me for a loop is where I'm from in Chicago, most streets don't change names at an intersection. But down here in Houston, there are lots of streets that they change. On one side of the intersection, they're one word, one name, and on the other side, they're another. So that was something to get used to. So just some playing around. Bridge may ice is a scene. We have if bridges ice, the entire city shuts down because we do not have the infrastructure to deal with icy roads. So you actually get some nice views as you're driving around here. That's kind of cool. I haven't really paid attention to that. And then we just stuck a whole bunch of trees back here. I might put even more in. And we've got the go away green, and you don't really notice the buildings, which is kind of cool. I kind of like having that backstage vibe. You'll also notice I did go ahead and use the facades from the Ghostbuster stuff. I even went ahead and used some of the supports, the scaffolding, and I don't mind that you can see it. I want it to look phony baloney. That's kind of the direction we're headed. It's a mid-budget, you know? Some parts are real swanky and some parts aren't. And the best part is that you can't see it. You cannot see it at all from here, which is really what I was going for. So I'm very pleased with that. And like I said, we'll put some planters and fences around here. But I just think it's super cute. It's pretty straightforward. It doesn't do anything special. It's not themed to the nines. It's just enough. I'll probably put some fencing in there as well. So yeah, I don't know. I like it a lot. We're still trying to. And then the last big thing, which we'll look at in the final update, is the station here. We're going to go ahead and flesh all of this out and make this look, put the done stamp on the station at least, maybe not the queue cover, but the station at least will be done today. And then that kind of can project, you can project to see what the last bits are. We need to finish up the coaster, and we need to then begin detailing throughout the park, going over it with a fine-tooth comb and really locking in everything we have. So why don't we go ahead and get the reshade turned on and jump into the final update of this episode. All right, here we go. I figured we should start the final update where we started the episode, and that is with the Aggie flyer here. You can see how it looks in beautiful reshade as we sort of slowly, herky-jerky, not so slowly, make our way around to Aggie flyer. I like this a lot. It's just one of those capacity attractions. It's not meant to really stick out in any way, but it's cute, and I do. It's a classic. You gotta have a swing ride in a park, right? I don't think I've been to a park without one. I mean, they're not my favorite thing. I'm not a big fan of swing rides. I don't really like them very much. But hey, they're important. They're an important member of a good amusement park lineup. So, got our lovely Aggie flyer here, and then we come over here. There's some raw bits, but this feels like a good place to end it. Here's our fender bender underneath the Beltway racers. You can see this going. I actually like the default music that the car ride picked, so we went ahead and had the fender bender play it as well to kind of unify the area a little bit. I think it's kind of neat. I like it. And then we have over here, the drop tower. I actually fiddled with the sequencing of the drop tower, something I never ever do. But it's quite. I mean, it's. I like it here. It's such a small footprint, but it has such a big impact on the skyline. A real simple sign here, Bucky's Big Bounce, sponsored by Mineral. Actually, Mineral Junction, I guess this goes by Mineral now. Our good bro, Mineral, he suggested this name, and so I had to go ahead and put his name on it like we do. And a very simple Maskies sponsored queue cover with the red and yellow, those colors. You can see here we've added a whole bunch in a planter. I found a lovely Wild West planter on the workshop, and so I stole from it and modified it a little bit. I had a very awkward amount of space back here, but I think I like this quite a bit now. We've got some stalls selling some stuff. I thought that'd be a good place to put one of these temporary stalls, but you can see this fountain here. It's become a really nice place to sit. Still got some cleanup to do here on the corners in a future episode, but now we can see the Maskies back here. Added some extra picnic tables. I figured this would be a really busy place to hang out. So you got the coaster in the background, the games. I figure this would be a really nice area. A nice kind of corner to sit and relax in between your all your theme amusement park fun. I picture this being a quiet respite. You can watch people getting on and off the the log ride, which, speaking of, let's take a closer look at that. You can see that we now have a functioning station. We will go in through this way. Started dressing up the queue just a little. Yes, the roof is still floating here, but we will tackle that another day. I do love this fence that I made. I think it looks really nice. So I'm going to sprinkle that around throughout the area here. I do love the idea that as you walk down the queue, you think you're almost there because you're like, oh, the station is right here. Sweet. And this is something Ryan did in No Name Landia that I just love. And it's like, oh, no. You've got all that. But threw in some of the in-game cargo scenery, which I thoroughly enjoy. But you can see a better look of the station inside here. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. It's very simple, but it's open and airy. I like the arrows. We got the arrows here that signify where to go. Just dressed it all up. Is it really low? It feels a little low, but it gave the game cleared it. Like, I put the path as low as you could. Maybe a little higher, actually, than what the game allowed. So, I don't know. I just put a sign that said, don't put your arms up. I don't know. I have a bad habit of getting things too close, I suppose. But, yeah, dressed up the little operations booth there just a little to kind of make it fit in. Added some lighting. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at this at night? I am starting to think about lighting, which is not something that I'm necessarily all that great at, but this seems nice. I like the warm with then the cool blue lighting up on top. The spotlights really help make it feel safe. Like, you want it to be safe. You don't want, if you're operating here at night. And as we step back out and kind of look at it, we need to do some more. But yeah, I like that. And then I've gone ahead and lit up the coaster a whole bunch, which I think is super cool. Going to do a little bit more fine detail lighting work on the coaster to really make it pop here at night, which I think will be really fun. And then let's switch it back to daytime because I don't have any lighting done on the car ride yet. Let's take a look here as we walk back this way. You will notice that I went ahead and added some more trees and I added some more stalls here. Figured this would be a good place. Kind of a dead area. Can't really fit anything, so we'll put some places for people to spend money. That's sort of my thought, at least. So we have our lovely Fizz Whiz. We're going to get a whole bunch of the Bro Nation branding in here. We're going to have some Fizz Whiz and Pucker Up and TFB and Mind Gluten. We'll sprinkle those throughout the park. But you're getting a good idea of how this is all coming together. Like I said, still need to completely to use, I think Nerd Chacho kit it out. Still need to kit it out a bit, but yeah, with reshade it looks quite nice. So not a lot of good. I have to change the color of the of all the ride ops. Need to change your uniform color. So, but yeah, this is sort of what we got going on for this episode. Just taking a lovely stroll. Get some nice view of Golden Eagle back there, and I just love. Some of these sightlines in this park are totally intentional, and some of them... Oh, look at that! That's the unintentional sightline. Look at that. The dive coaster goes right behind the... That's cool how that turned out. Again, not intentional, but I really like it. And then you get your Bucky sign back there, or Maskies sign back there. Eventually, this will be a pretty exciting area to walk along. If we walk this way, you're going to be walking along most of the coaster layout, which will be really cool. We'll see it fly by. There it goes. So it's some different parts of the coaster. This intense helix. Woohoo! Into that final inversion. We're going to put a bunch of don't die fencing here and really make this area a special place to be. And then that will pretty much be it. So the last major thing we have to build is this barbecue restaurant that's been on my mind for forever. I already know what the inspiration's going to be. There's a restaurant here in Houston that we visited, and I'll talk more about it in the next episode, but it's called Cedar Creek. It's called Cedar Creek Restaurant, which is actually named after something from Austin, and I've gone ahead and named the log flume. I've given the log flume a name change. It's a Cedar Creek Plunge, I think, which works for me. So here's a good look at a lot of what we got done today. So I think, even the chair swing, look at that. So I think that's going to do it for this episode of Brazos Square. Once again, if you enjoyed, please do hit the like button. Comment on your favorite part or what you'd like to see. No more rides, but what are some little details, things like that you think could be added to really make this feel special? And then I'm assuming 1 or 2 more episodes is all it's going to take to have this project out on the workshop for all of you to go and explore on your own, which is super exciting to think about. So with all that being said, that's going to do it for today's episode. Have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever, and I will see all of you for the next episode of Brazos Square Amusement Park. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.